Welcome to another digital marketing lesson. Today I will show you how to create profitable campaigns on Amazon. So we will talk about Amazon advertising. I know, guys, this is a huge topic, so I don't pretend to deepen every aspect of Amazon advertising. I will just show you how to create a profitable and healthy campaign structure. And this is fundamental because Amazon advertising is very complex and it is a long journey of continuous optimizations. It's like building a castle. So you start with the foundations and then with the walls and then with the towers. And if in the future you realize that your campaign structure is not good and you need to change the campaigns, you risk to trash all the efforts that you have made till that moment. So I recommend watching this video till the end because you will understand how to structure campaigns in a way that you don't need to change them in the future, and you will also get a strong understanding on the main Amazon advertising metrics. Before I bring you on my computer and actually show you how I structure Amazon advertising campaigns, you need to understand the fundamental metric on Amazon advertising, which is the ACoS, the advertising cost on sales. This metric is very important because it tells you how advertising costs impact your profit margins. It is expressed in percentage and it is calculated dividing the ad spend by the sales. So you can have an ACoS of a specific keyword, you can have an ACoS of a specific campaign, or a total ACoS that represents the advertising cost of sales of your whole Amazon advertising account. To make a practical example, if you have an ACoS of 25%, it means that you spend $25 in advertising per each $100 of sales. In other words, you are spending 25 cents per each dollar that you make. You understand that the lower this percentage is, the better for you because you have more profit margin. Knowing what ACoS is not enough before you start advertising. You need a few more concepts. The final concept that you need to know is your target ACoS. You can also write it TACoS, which is not the total ACoS. TACoS doesn't mean total ACoS. TACoS or TACoS means target ACoS. And it is a personal number, so it depends on each business, it depends on each product or product category that you are selling, and it is unique to your company. And it represents the ACoS that you want to achieve for each campaign. To create this number, you need to find out your breakeven ACoS. The breakeven ACoS represents the maximum amount of money that you are willing to invest in advertising before you become unprofitable. So the break-even ACoS represents that status quo, that equilibrium where you don't have any profit margins, but you even don't have any losses. So to calculate this, I suggest you to create a Google Sheet with all the costs associated to a product. And as you can see on this image, it can be the retail price, the shipping cost, Amazon fee, manufacturing cost. By subtracting all these costs from your product price, you will discover your eventual profit margin. The break-even ACoS is exactly equal to your profit margin. Let's consider a product which retail price is $20, the manufacturing cost is $5, and the Amazon fee $3, and the shipping cost is $5. In order to find out your profit margin before advertising, you need to subtract all of these costs from the retail price. So you do 20 minus 5 minus 3 minus 5, which results in $7. So $7 is your profit margin. How can you calculate your break-even ACoS? The formula of the ACoS is ad spend divided by sales. So in this case, you are willing to spend a maximum amount of $7 in advertising in order not to be unprofitable. And the sales, of course, is represented by the retail price, which is $20. So you do 7 divided by 20 is equal to 35%. So once you launch your advertising campaigns in the future for this product that costs $20 and has all these expenses, you are willing to reach a maximum ACoS of 35%. If you have 36% ACoS on a certain keyword or a certain campaign, it means that you are losing money. If you have 34% of ACoS, it means that you are making money. These are all calculations that you need to do before you start advertising on Amazon. Now that you have understood that the break-even ACoS depends on each product profit margin, so it's unique, so don't look industry standard, it's bullshit. Just look your company, your business and your products. Now it's time to calculate your perfect target ACoS, so the TACoS or TACoS if you want to be more Mexican. So as you can see from this image, I broke down the ACoS. So the orange column is represented by the break-even ACoS, so the maximum amount of money that you are willing to spend in advertising. That amount of money, so the orange column, can be divided in the blue column, which represents your target ACoS, so the ACoS that you want to achieve in order to be profitable and have certain profit margins. And the green column is represented by your target profit margin. According to your business model, market approach, and other marketing aspects and factors, you need to decide how much money you want to make from each product, how much money you want to spend in advertising for each product. So this is a discretional choice that you have to make according to different marketing factors. Once you have decided the profit margin, you subtract the profit margin that you want to achieve, so your target profit margin, from the break-even ACoS, and voila, you have found your target ACoS. Well, it's a lot to take, but you need to learn these concepts, otherwise you will never become a good advertiser. The second main concept to understand is how bidding works on Amazon advertising. So you need to understand how the ACoS or the TACoS is related to the CPC, the cost per click. And Michael Erickson Fakin, CEO of AdBadger, found a formula that can help you calculate your perfect CPC or your target CPC, which is the average order value times conversion rate times TACoS. And if you are managing big campaigns, if you have a lot of products, a lot of keywords, it's very difficult to calculate every time the perfect CPC. So if you look in the description below, I have a link, a Google Sheet bid calculator that you can download for free. Now that you know these few concepts, you are ready to go on your Amazon advertising console and do what I am about to show now. Here we are on our Amazon advertising console. If you never activate any Amazon advertising campaign, you will see this screen. So Amazon will ask you what kind of campaign type do you want to activate. If you activated already a few campaigns, click the yellow button Create Campaign. So let's define a little bit the 3 campaign types available on Amazon advertising. So the first one, sponsored products, is focused on sales. It has an attribution model of 7 days, and the placement is pretty much on Amazon product feed. So as you can see from these images, you will have sponsored products on Amazon product feed, on the top search results, and also on the product page itself. So these are just a few examples of where Amazon places sponsored products ads. Sponsored brands campaigns are only available for registered brands and are focused on brand awareness. In fact, they have an attribution model of 14 days, so it's pretty broad, and you have different subcategories of sponsored brands campaigns, and I will show you later how to work with them. Sponsored display campaigns, they also have an attribution model of 14 days, and you have mainly 2 types of campaigns. You can use this type for retargeting, and I definitely recommend using using it because it's very useful to retarget the viewers that visited similar product or your own product. You can also use this kind of campaign to disturb competition. In fact, the placement is very aggressive. It's under the buy box and the bullet points, and you can target competitors' products. Basically, you want to have an auto campaign to explore the market and find new profitable keywords and ASINs, and then you move these profitable search terms or target ASINs into a manual campaign that you use to actually monetize the investment. Let's start with the sponsored products. Sponsored products are basic campaigns. Every Amazon advertising account should have at least one auto campaign and one manual campaign. So you click continue. Here you need to label the campaign. You need to be very precise because the more organized you are and the easier it is for you to actually review the campaigns, understand what they are, and if you have other people working in the same team, they understand what you did and what kind of campaigns are. I usually start with an automatic campaign, with an automatic targeting, so I call it auto, and here all products. And now I will show you what to do. I receive an error because I have another campaign labeled like this, so this is just an example, so let's call it all products one. Daily budget, it depends on how many products you want to advertise. If you have 10 to 20 products, I will recommend to start with a budget $50 to $100 per day. You want to use an automatic targeting, and we will use the automatic targeting to explore the market, and we will leverage the AI to find profitable search terms and ASINs that we can use later with our manual campaign. I usually leave dynamic bids up and down, so you allow basically the AI to decide discretionally to increase or decrease the bid, and it is an auto campaign, so just leave the AI decide what to do on this. Leave 0 and 0 in this phase. Maybe in the future, if you find this campaign profitable, you can actually increase more the percentage of top of the search ads results. You will say that you are willing to pay more in order to be placed in the top of the search. It can increase, of course, a click-through rate and eventually sales, but it's something that you want to do eventually later, not in this phase. In an auto campaign, you create as many ad groups as product categories. So let's say that you are selling shampoo for women. You write shampoo women, okay? Insert the products into the ad group, and be careful. In here, just select ASINs that are strictly related or strictly similar among each other. If in this ad group you have shampoos, don't insert conditioners, okay? Automatic targeting, you can start with the default bid, it's 75 cents, it's fine. You click on launch campaign. Once you have started this campaign, you should have a list of ad groups according to the amount of your product categories. So you have the shampoo, and then you have the conditioner, and then you have maybe the bundles, so multiple products together, and then you have a cream, and so on. Let's see how you structure a manual campaign, because you will need the manual campaigns to optimize the auto campaigns, so because you need to create that funnel that we mentioned before. So create a new campaign with the same process. You go to sponsor product, and this time you label like this: manual, because it's a manual campaign, and then you insert the name of the product category, the same exact label of the ad group in the auto campaign. So we had shampoo women, you will insert here shampoo women. Labeling is very, very important, not only for organization, but also in the future. If you decide to use an automation tool, you need to have clear labels. So you want to create a manual campaign for each ad group that you have in the auto campaign. Select manual targeting. You want dynamic bids only down. For the manual campaign, I usually increase the top of the search by 100%. This because here with a manual campaign you are monetizing the investment that you did with the auto campaign. So the keywords that you insert in this campaign are like secure, safe. You know that you are going to make sales with the keywords that you have in this campaign. So why not investing more money for the top of the search? Ad group, you need also here to be very organized. You want to have an ad group according to each keyword match type. In Amazon you have 3 match types. You have a broad match, phrase match and exact match. Let's consider a broad match, and let's consider shampoo women. So for a broad match, if you use a broad match for this keyword, it can be shampoo for women with conditioner, or women shampoo. So it can be all the combination possible with these words. If you use a phrase match, it can be only shampoo women with conditioner, or conditioner with shampoo women. So the words here can't be mixed. You can add the words after, or you can add the words before. With the exact match, it is only shampoo women. That's it. It considers automatically the plurals, but mainly you can't edit this formula. It will be shampoo women. That's it. So the first ad group that you want to start is called exact match. Exact match, you add your products, and please be sure that you add the same product that you added in the auto campaign for the shampoo women. Okay, don't add different products, otherwise your strategy will not work. You call it exact match because here you are adding only exact match keyword. At the beginning, since you don't know what keywords are profitable or not, just add a keyword as a placeholder. I will show you maybe in another video how to do keyword research and all these things, but this is just a basic setup, so follow step by step this method. So if you are selling a shampoo, just use a placeholder here and use shampoo women, use the suggested bid here. If the system doesn't have a suggested bid, it will ask you what kind of bid you want. Since it is an exact match, you can start with $2 as a bid, and then you launch the campaign. Once you have started this campaign, it should be something like this. So you have your exact match ad group, you have your ASIN match ad group. In the ASIN match ad group, you will insert only ASINs as targets. Eventually you can have a broad match ad group or other ad groups that you use as a test, but I don't recommend to test keywords in this manual campaign. Just for the sake of reporting, I just recommend creating a new campaign for testing. When you create a manual campaign, you must have ASIN match, exact match and branded. In the branded ad group, you surely want to insert as a target your brand name as a broad match and all the search terms that include your brand name. If your brand is composed by 2 words, you want to target the 2 words together or the 2 words separate. So let's say that my brand is Alberto Carniel, so I want to target Alberto Carniel and Alberto Carniel all together, broad match. So you add this keyword and you want to bid high. Let's say $4, you want to be aggressive because it's your brand, you want to protect it. If you have other specific phrases, you can use exact match or phrase match, it doesn't matter. Branded keywords must be focused and specific for the product category that you are selling in this ad group. So if you're selling shampoo for women, you put specific branded keywords for shampoo for women, not for other products in your inventory. For the sake of showing you how to create an ASIN match ad group, create an ad group, you call it ASIN match. You insert the same products here, you scroll down, you use product targeting, okay? And then here you insert a list of similar products. At the beginning, since maybe you don't know the competitors or you don't know what kind of products you want to target, you insert your own ASINs, okay? So the products in this ad group. So the products that you inserted here as a target, you want to use them also here in this list. It's called self-targeting. It is like a branded targeting, so you want to trigger your ads on your own ASINs in order to prevent competitors to purchase that space, that ad space. So use your own ASINs as a self-targeting. Of course, you're selling shampoo for women, so you insert just the ASIN of shampoo for women. You don't insert the ASINs for the conditioners or a different product category. Once you have an ASIN, you apply here the suggested bid and then you create ad group. So let's go back to our auto campaign and let's understand how to optimize it. So first of all, optimization and maintenance depends on how much daily budget you have allocated. If you have allocated a huge budget, you need to maintain the campaign more often. If you allocated just $10 per day, you need more time in order to gather useful data and optimize the campaign. Select an ad group and enter. Go on search terms, adjust the filters here, let's say last 7 days or last 30 days or whatever is more appropriate for you, and then you can start deciding what to do with these search terms. For example, you order it first of all by spend. For example, this search term has attained an ACoS of almost 13%, which is very good. It is very profitable. For this account, a profitable ACoS is lower than 40% basically, and the break-even ACoS is 50%. So we are very, very profitable. You check that you reach at least 2 orders. In this case, you have these 2 orders, and this is important because if you have a search term and only 1 order, the search term can be good but also not good. Maybe it's only 1 person that searched for that keyword. Once you get 2 orders and the search term is in target, you copy it and you move it into the manual campaign, exact match ad group. This process is called keyword harvesting. The second search terms attain 10 clicks with a spend of $31 basically and no orders, no sales. So here you have different approaches. It depends on how much the item that you are selling costs. If you are selling an expensive item above $50, you are willing to wait more clicks in order to say, hey, this search term is not profitable. If you are selling a cheap item, so below $50, you may want to use the 10 click rule. If 10 people click on your ad and for this search term and didn't purchase, it means that this search term is not profitable for you. So there is no scientific formula. And also you can use your own Google Sheet with all the fees and costs of an item. You know the break-even ACoS, so you know how much money you are willing to spend for a sale in advertising. If in this case $30 are too much for you, copy this and insert it as a negative keyword here with the exact match. Let's explain this. A negative exact means that if another user searches for this keyword exactly, the ad will be not triggered. If you use a phrase match, and let's say that your keyword is conditioner. In this case, you will exclude every combination possible with this keyword. So conditioners for men with long hair conditioners for men. Before you use a negative phrase, be sure that you don't need any of the combinations made possible with the keyword that you inserted here. Instead, if in this list you find a product, here it is, this is an ASIN, it is a target ASIN. If this target ASIN is not related with the product that you're selling and it is not profitable, and in this case it is profitable, but just for the sake of this video, let's say that this ASIN wasn't profitable, you copy the ASIN, you go to negative targeting, you click on negative products. Don't make the mistake that you put the ASIN as a negative keyword. If you are not using a software automation for campaign management, you can eventually manually check if this search term is in target or not, and even if you just got 1 order, but you have a positive ACoS, you can insert the search term in the exact match ad group anyway. Even if you got one order or 2 orders or 3 orders for one search term, but the ACoS is a high, you don't have to insert it as a negative keyword if the search term is in target. There isn't such a thing as a good or a bad keyword. A keyword can be in target or non in target. If your keyword is in target and you receive orders but you have a high ACoS, you want to insert that keyword or search term in the exact match ad group, but you want to lower the bid. You want that Amazon triggers your ad less often. By lowering the bid, you can also control the ACoS. So actually, from an auto campaign, you move this search term with a high ACoS in an exact match ad group, you lower the bid, and probably that search term that maybe had before 60% of ACoS, it will become with 25% of ACoS or 20% of ACoS. So try to play with the bids instead of inserting negative targetings, because once you have inserted a negative targeting, you can't go back. You can recover it. You have just to go to negative targeting, select the search term, and then click on archive, but you have to do it manually, and you risk to forget about this. Now let's go back to our manual campaign and let's see how you optimize this campaign. So we understood that you are funneling profitable search terms and ASINs in the exact match ad group and in the ASIN match ad group, and if the search terms are branded, you put them into the branded ad group. Let's consider an exact match ad group, and you know that you optimize these ad groups in the same way. So let's just pick the exact match here. To optimize it, you go to targeting, and in targeting you have your list of keywords or search terms, because these are actually exact match search terms. In the filters here, you want to have a few important columns. You don't need the match type, because of course they are all exact match here. You want to have the suggested bid. You mainly want the impressions, clicks. You don't need click-through rate in this phase. You want to have spend, cost per click. You don't need orders and sales. You don't need ROAS, you need just ACoS. So just use these columns in this phase. Order the targets according to the ACoS. So you will have high ACoS first. This is an interesting example. This search term or keyword has 69% of ACoS, which is very high. I'm losing money for this keyword. The suggested bid is $2.12, so it means that other advertisers are bidding with that amount of money. If you want to be super precise to calculate the bid, use my bid calculator that I've linked in the description below. Otherwise, follow this process that I'm using, which is not super precise, but when you manage a huge volume, it's very difficult to be super precise for hundreds of keywords. So this keyword is in target, but is not profitable here. I'm bidding $3.10, and my CPC, my cost per click, is $4.49. The CPC is higher than my bid because I increased the bid by 100% for the top of the search results. And since the keyword is in target, you don't want to pause it or remove it from this ad group. You just need to decrease this ACoS. To do that, you want the AI doesn't trigger these keywords so often. So to do that, you can apply the suggested bid. So in this case, $2 is lower than $3. You have a difference of $1. So it's pretty much fair. You want to reach here like at least 40%. If your average CPC is $4, you want to be 2.4. You need to be careful in lowering the bid. You want to make little steps. Above all, if you use an automation software, you need to have a specific percentage for these little adjustments, but since I'm doing it manually, you can just, decrease it more or less by a certain percentage. So now we decreased the bid for this keyword, and in a few days we come back, we analyze again the ad group, and we see if the ACoS for this search term has decreased. If not, you decrease again the bid. And you arrive at a certain point that Amazon will not trigger the ad anymore for this search term because you are bidding too low. If you arrive at that point, you need to decide what to do. Because if you're not converting for that keyword and that keyword is very important for you, you need to apply certain edits on the listing. Let's talk about another issue. So you have this search term which has a pretty good ACoS but low impressions. This is an issue because if it is profitable, you want that a lot of people see your ads for this search term. And here you can have two issues. First issue is that the search term doesn't drive so much traffic, and it can be possible, and you need to use a Helium 10 to check and see how much traffic that search term is driving. Or you are too low for the bid. To understand this, you just check the CPC. So if the cost per click is 1.78, is very close to $2. So you're not giving to the AI a lot of space to maneuver. So what you can do eventually is to increase a little bit the bid, and you can bid 250. You can come back and see after a few days if the impressions have increased. Here the suggested bid is $5.43. In this case, the search term is profitable, so don't compare your business, your product with competitors, because maybe your competitors are not profitable or maybe are not competitive enough, so they have to bid much more. I want to explain you how to maintain and clean broad match ad groups or phrase match ad groups. First of all, a broad match ad group or a phrase match ad group are explorative, so you know that you're not monetizing the investment with those ad groups because you are generating keyword variants. You can eventually waste money on not profitable keywords, and you create this kind of ad groups only after you did a proper keyword research with Helium 10 or also Jungle Scout if you don't have Helium 10. I will not explain here how to do keyword research. I shoot another video about Amazon keyword research. So right now I will just show you how to optimize it. So in my example, I've created a broad match ad group within a manual campaign. This because I use a software automation and I don't want to create too many campaigns because we are managing hundreds of product categories. So we have a lot of campaigns. So in order not to double the number of our campaigns for the sake of organization, I just created a broad match ad group within a manual campaign. What I suggest you to do is to create a test campaign and create a broad match ad group within. Once you have your broad match ad group active, you go to the search terms tab. You do the same as in the auto campaign. So you order the columns according to the spend. Here, 9 clicks, $25 spent, no sales. I'm willing to wait a little bit more to see if I'm getting sales for this search term, so I will not insert it as a negative. So you basically do the same like in the auto campaign. Once you have found profitable search terms, you copy them and you insert them in the exact match ad group. So all the profitable search terms must be funneled in that exact match ad group. So that's why when I mentioned that Amazon campaigns structure is very important, because this is a castle that you are building and building and building and building. If you don't organize the campaigns in the right way and you need to change them, like your work of the month is trashed. If your seed keyword keeps generating unprofitable search terms, you can decide whether pause it or decrease the bid. To do that, you go to targeting. In the targeting section, you have your broad match keywords, and you decide if a broad match keyword is unprofitable, you decrease the bid, and eventually you can pause it because it means that it's not in target or it's not generating money for your product category. This is it for sponsored products campaigns. These are very basic tips and guidelines if you have just started advertising, but what it is important is the structure. Structure the campaigns in this way, otherwise in the future you will have a lot of issues, above all if you use marketing automation tools for PPC management on Amazon advertising. The second campaign I want to show you is the sponsored brands campaign. So you create a new campaign, you head to sponsor brands, continue, and here you label the campaign like this: SB stands for sponsor brand. Here you insert the objective of the campaign, and I will show you in a minute, and then the product. So shampoo for women, shampoo women. Budget, it depends on how many products you're sponsoring. You can start with $10, $15 per day, and then you will adjust the budget accordingly later. Select your brand. This type of advertising works only if you have a brand registry. If you don't have brand registry, you can't run sponsored brands. You have three types of sponsored brands. You have product collections, store spotlight, videos. I like product collections for branded searches because you want to get more real estate. A product collection is an ad that shows 3 products, like a banner on the Amazon feed. I suggest to create the sponsored brands campaign product collection for branded searches, product collection, and since it is branded, you actually don't need the name of the product, you just write branded here. On the creative wizard, you just insert your logo, the name of your brand. It doesn't matter what products you insert here. You want to activate this product optimization. This is very important. So basically, the AI will decide what the products display according to each user. So if a user is searching for a certain product rather than another, the AI will automatically change the product with another that you have in your inventory. And this is very useful because, I repeat, you are using this campaign for branded searches, and if someone searches for your brand, they maybe are not searching for the 3 best sellers that you put here. You have 50 characters to write a compelling title for this ad, so the perfect choice for your hair. Pick a general one because you don't know what products the AI will show. Use a keyword targeting, enter list, use broad match, and here insert all the branded keywords that you have. Basically, you can have 2 problems of the sponsored brands. It under-delivers, or you're not able to spend the whole daily budget, or the sponsored brand campaign doesn't get enough impressions. If this happens, the solutions are 2. You need to increase the bid, or you need to insert more keywords with a broad match and with more monthly search volume. This is how to solve low impressions or a low budget spend. How can you optimize it? You check for the ACoS, and if the ACoS is too high, you need to decrease the keyword bid. You can eventually check the search terms, and if you find search terms that are not in target, or that are wasting the budget, or they have a high spend and no sales, a lot of clicks and no sales, you copy them and you insert it in the negative keyword section. It's more or less like the auto campaign or a broad match ad group. You can have a store spotlight. So basically with this sponsored brands campaign, you direct traffic to a section of the store. I'm not a fan of these ads, and now I explain you why. Once you enter the keywords here, so let's say that you have a broad keyword and you select shampoo for women, okay? So for this campaign type, specifically for the spotlight, if a user searches for a keyword that is on a listing which contains your keyword, the ad will be triggered. Normally, a search term must contain these words, okay? Must contain the word shampoo, must contain the word for, and must contain the word women. But for this ad type, it doesn't matter. If the keyword shampoo for women is inside the listing and a user is searching for that particular listing, or with even another search term that is not connected with shampoo for women, your ad will be triggered anyway. Another campaign that I like is a video campaign. You can select only one product for the video campaign and then you can upload the video here. It is very useful to launch and scale a product sales. Also here you can add your keywords, broad match and so on, and you optimize the campaign in the same way. The last campaign type I want to show you is the sponsored display. You label a display campaign sponsored display, so SD. Now the objective, so remarketing actually, remarketing, and then shampoo. Daily budget, if it is for, I don't know, 5 products, let's say 5-10 products, start with $50 per day and then I will adjust the budget accordingly. Ad group name, you can have only one ad group for sponsored display, so it doesn't matter. So in this case, shampoo, women. I like to start with views remarketing. You select all the products in the same product category. You can target similar to advertised products. So basically we will target users that landed on similar products or users that landed on the advertised products, so on your own product. If you want to drive a lot of traffic, if you want to aim at brand awareness and be very aggressive with the spend, you can use a category targeting. So you can actually add the category targeting, check that the AI has identified the right category for the product inserted. And here you can play a little bit with the bid. So you're willing to spend more to remarket the people that visited your own product. So you can say $2.50. Then you want a middle bid for similar products, and you can have a low bid for the category targeting, and I like to leave it at 50 cents because otherwise you risk to trash a lot of budget. But it's up to you. Maybe if you want to start with $1, you can, and eventually you can lower the bid later. You don't need to customize the creative, you just launch the campaign and everything is automated. Another type of sponsored display campaigns that I really like is product targeting. With the product targeting, you are disturbing the competition, because the placement is very aggressive under the bullet points and the buy box. Also here you can decide to target a category if you want to be more aggressive with the ad spend, but you know that you will be probably waste a lot of budget, so it's just for awareness or product launch. Otherwise, I recommend to create a list of ASINs of competitors, insert them here and target them. How to optimize a sponsor display campaigns with product targeting? The same of sponsored brands. You will see that the targets, so your ASINs, and then you will adjust the bids accordingly. But be prepared to spend a little bit, because here you are actually targeting your competitor's product. And I recommend using products that have a lot of reviews and stars. You don't want to sponsor one of your products that have less reviews or stars than your competitors, otherwise you will waste money like there is no tomorrow. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel because every week I come up with a different digital marketing lesson, and as you can see, my videos are super juicy. If you have questions, don't forget to drop a comment below. I will reply ASAP. See you soon.